In the last years, I really was considering a shift of my focus and a lot more work in the coaching aspect and maybe moving out of even more out of the counseling. I was considering whether YouCanBookMe could handle the things I wanted to do. But I'll tell you what, I've been really pleased.
Thank you very much for joining us today. This is Tim Tedder, who is the founder of Affair Healing. Tim, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your business and why you do it and how you got started with it.
Over 20 years, I've been focusing on helping individuals and couples heal from the effects of infidelity in their relationship or in their lives. And that comes out of my own experience of having been through that after 16 years of marriage and ended up having an affair, to be blunt about it. And it really not only affected my marriage, of course, but my career. And I stumbled around for a number of years trying to figure out, what am I supposed to learn from this? Wasn't learning good lessons until I started learning the good lessons. And the way that began affecting my life, I was encouraged by friends like, you need to be sharing this with others and helping others. So that's what I've been doing for 20 years.
And so were you in kind of therapy or counseling? Not you personally,
No,
but
I went back
counselor?
to school, got the degree, became a licensed counselor. And over the years, the services I've provided and the resources I provided through affairhealing.com have kind of grown into an expansion beyond just where I offered licensed counseling. We started coaching people from actually around the world.
How would you give advice to somebody who wanted to get into a similar kind of business as you, starting out today?
Well, I mean, to tap into something that you, first of all, have really interest and passion about, because I'll tell you what, it's a different world now than in 2009 when I started doing this. Back then, I was one of 2 or 3 websites that were known to be authoritative in this issue. But just realizing, man, this is a different world. People finding the website now just doesn't happen as easily. People coming to my podcast. Well, everybody and their uncle's making a podcast now, so it gets lost in the sea of information. So you have to have that passion to come into it.
As a business owner, what is something that keeps you up at night? What do you worry about?
Oh, I don't know that I worry too much about a lot of stuff anymore. I've been doing this long enough, and there are certainly things to worry about, but I've also known, you're gonna move past these things. You're gonna learn from them, and some things you're going to fail at. And I guess I'm at the place where I know the story I'm telling with my life. I know what I'm trying to do with the resources that I'm offering. And in the end, when I get bothered or troubled, I just come back to, all I can do is show up, be authentic, be vulnerable, be real, and that's okay.
So what kind of software do you use other than YouCanBookMe? Do you have CRM with your customers and things like that? What other things are you using in your world as your business?
Well, a lot of things are integrated into my website, and I made the choice when I redesigned it to kind of go back to, I used Squarespace, and I had used it before and backed out and started doing something, but I went back because they just incorporate a lot of features like the podcast and the courses that I wanted to do. And so that's worked pretty well. And I also, with my video conferencing, podcast recording, and the sessions that I have, I use Google Meet, which is integrated with YouCanBookMe and with my website and all those things. So, all those things kind of work together.
Oh, brilliant. Because I will always think like to have the podcast, you need a bunch of stuff. But
yeah, well, I mean, I've got some equipment here.
Yeah.
When I decided to do it, I invested in some microphones that were a little better and a simple little mixer that sits here next to me. Oh, I should also mention that I've really learned to use AI as a tool to help me do some things better. I, for instance, create podcast audio sketches that illustrate the thing we're talking about. And I'll go in, write the script, record all the voices myself, go in and take each voice and change it in AI so it's, a middle-aged woman or an older man or all this sort of stuff. Then go back and mix all these voices together in dialogue, overlapping, put in sound effects, and come out with a little scene that illustrates what we're talking about. So, AI can help with some interesting tools like that.
That's really cool. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think for right now, the people I'm talking to on a regular basis, it's that kind of, what can it do for me? There's so much out there, and there's so many things, but actually content creation, research discovery, things like that. Let's talk a little bit about YouCanBookMe in terms of how does it fit into your flow in terms of how people schedule time with you?
The way it fit for quite a few years was simply as the tool I would use to allow people to book free consultations with me, because it was just really easy to do. I could set it up. And I was using another service to handle all the other stuff, my booking my sessions and running the charges and doing all that sort of. In the last years, I really was considering a shift of my focus and a lot more work in the coaching aspect and maybe moving out of even more out of the counseling. I was considering whether YouCanBookMe could handle the things I wanted to do. But I'll tell you what, I've been really pleased, in some ways surprising. Like I love the way I can customize the different kinds of appointments I want to make, the way that they look, the way that they work, the information they pass to the client, the information they pass on to me, how I organize information that shows up in my personal calendar. And even probably my biggest concern was, now for those clients that need to pay, it's asking for the money up front. Because before I would always bill on the day that after the appointment was finished. And I thought, I don't think people are going to like this. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I have not had one make any comment. I think we live in a day where it's very common to go on and pay for a service up front. Not had anybody push back on that. And I love also, through Stripe, I create these little discount codes and things that I can personalize and give out to people. And that gets incorporated into the scheduling. So yeah, I've been pretty happy.
I'm delighted that you've just dug into it so much because you've been with us for 11 and a half years. So
oh, really that long? Wow.
Yeah. So you mentioned being able to have you've got different booking pages for different things, but you've also got the appointment types feature there where you can say you can choose one of these 3 kind of length options. And so why would somebody choose a 30-minute session over an hour and a half session? Like what's the decision making you're giving your
it defaults to the 50-minute, which is standard. And usually that's what I recommend. But especially if I start working with someone and I know that we're just doing something that's a check-in, I say, well, we can probably just do that in a half session. Why don't you just book the 25-minute? I mean, my clients are always in charge of their schedule and the booking. And if I recommend a full hour and they book a 25-minute, then, we'll stop at 25 minutes. And I'll say, I think we need to talk more about this. But then occasionally, especially working, if there's couples involved, sometimes we're hitting an issue that it's probably going to take more than just 50 minutes. So they might book an hour and a half session, but that's the options that are available to them.
And so do people come back to you after long periods of time, just as you say, like a tune-up, like a check-in?
Yeah, they do. I mean, sometimes many years later, they'll come in and it might be about a whole different issue, but they're just saying, hey, we know you've worked with us, we trust you. Can you help us with this thing? And yeah, of course I will. But yeah, that happens.
So I've got a couple of other questions. What's one thing you didn't expect to be so hard about running your own business?
There are just some things that take so much time. Until you do it, you don't realize. And the temptation is to, I'm just not going to take the time to do those because I don't do that thing. I just don't enjoy it that much. And so we do minimal work, or we just, and if I'm going to be proud of what I'm doing, the resources I'm putting out, the services I've offer, I know some of those unexpected things. I've got to take time to do it. And as I do, I learn, I get better at it, and it takes less and less time as it goes on. But yeah, before starting my business, I just didn't realize, all these little things I didn't know I would have to give attention to that I've had to give attention to.
And what do you think is the best bit about running your own business?
Well, especially right now, I'm in charge of my hours. I can do it anywhere I want to. Right now, I'm sitting in my home office, but there's plenty of times I'm down visiting family or visiting friends. And I said, I've got scheduled time. I need to go to a private place and put up a virtual background behind me or whatever, and be able to do it. I love that freedom.
I think that's the dream, isn't it? Final question. Would you rather work with a team of experts or passionate learners?
Can I have both? That would be the ideal. I mean, at this stage, probably passionate learners. If you'd asked me that question 10, 20 years ago, I'm not sure my answer would be the same. But, I'm at the stage of life where, I've learned quite a few things, and I will learn all my life in putting these things into practice. But it's just the feeling like I've got a lot that I want to share. And if there are more people out there that I can connect with that would benefit from this, I want to be able to provide it to them.
Nice. Really nice. That's absolutely lovely. Well, thank you so much. You're clearly helping hundreds of people, millions of people around the world in terms of what's a very difficult thing to be going through. So I'd be very grateful for them sharing your experiences for everything that you're doing. So thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate your time.